Hello and welcome to World Building Essentials and Exercises. Today, we are not really doing much of the world building stuff. We are doing the D&D part of the channel. This is the secondary thing, but 2024 is out. Don't know if you noticed. And this is going to be a little bit of content for a while, talking about the game. We are doing world building stuff on this channel that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with D&D. You could use it as a writer, an author, a script writer, anything, game designer. But let's face it, we are primarily D&D players around here, and so that's how we center things. And 2024 content is going to be what people are listening to for a while. That said, it's fun. It's a good topic. It's stuff that we can put our own twist on. And what we are looking at in particular today, we're going to look at character classes. We're going to kind of take things in very small pieces. And I'm going to try not to ramble too much because I'm going totally off script here. Well, off script, no script. This is the book. I got the alternate cover. I'm thinking about buying a regular one as kind of a markup and say this is a collectible thing, but I don't know. I haven't decided yet. That's the trick, right? Money, money, money. But that's okay. Wizards is a business. I've got no problem with that. They do their thing. We do what we want to do. What I want to do today is start into this 2024 content. This is going to be a video for either people that just for some reason like listening to my videos, but mostly useful to new players. We are going to look at a given page. You've done this before, right? We've done pages before. We're going to look at page 49. That is a very simple overview of character classes. We have some nice art on the facing page. I haven't even looked through the whole book, but I mean, I haven't had that much time yet. I probably should have, I don't know, whatever. We're just going to dive in. I had a point on the art. For a while, there was talk about, oh, they're using all AI art. They're not naming artists anymore. It's the artist has their name right next to it. Here, my eyesight isn't great, so give me a second. And the light's not great in here either. Awesome for recording stuff, right? Andrea Paparo. Probably not pronouncing that right, but thank you, Andrea. This is nice. You got an adventuring team, wizards, some kind of paladin fighter, an obvious, wizard in the back. That's probably a priest in the front. You can tell because she's got a cloak, right? Clerics, not priests. Clerics wear cloaks. Anyway, defending some kind of magical portal. Very exciting D&D stuff. I'm sure they're all very powerful, happy with their careers. First thing, hang on. Cam, yep, I'm back. The list is in alphabetical order. So the very first thing that you notice is there's no artificer. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I hope that we get to continue to see the artificer. I'm certainly going to continue. I think it's a class that makes perfect sense. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. You don't have to use any given class. Your game world doesn't have to have barbarians. Doesn't have to have paladins. Doesn't have to have warlocks. You pick as the DM what you want to make work. You might get some pushback from players. It'll be okay. Communicate with them. It'll be good. And it's the same thing with artificers. Just because I think people get scared of guns in D&D. I don't use guns. I love artificers. I love the idea of the engineer, this super, and honestly, I think I would do a lot more with artificers. They fit into a world building system that they have so much to offer. I think it's honestly, I think it's an advanced class, at least the way I do it. Now you don't have to do it that way. You just follow the book, and it's still fun. But there's so much potential there. It's not much different than a wizard. It's a smart character. You need a smart, educated player in DM, and that's okay if it's a little tougher than just I'm not going to pick on fighters as being an easy class to play. They've got a lot to them too, but I think artificers have more to them, at least more potential wise. I feel like out of the what we're used to seeing out of a rules as written artificer, it was an incomplete class. There was more that they could work into it, but they didn't. They didn't have time. It was a first draft. I was really hoping in 2024 they would make a real run at it. Add the things it was missing, but they didn't. It's very possible. Let's make the prediction. In a year, we're going to see a book that has the artificer, maybe another class. I don't know what it would be, but smart people, they could make up something. We could make up something right here if we really set our minds to it. It might not be great, but it'll fill papers. And then it'll have another 4 to 8 subclasses for each of the existing. Sorry, lost my train of thought. Then we'll have another listing of 4 to 8 subclasses for the existing classes. It'll be a big old book. They can make some money, and it'll fill in some of the blanks out of this transition from 2014 to 2024. And we're not going to get into how you're making the transition or even how I'm making the transition. I'm going to take it little pieces at a time, but no details. So this is an intro thing. It's for new players. We're just going to dive in with what we think about these different character classes. You have the barbarian. See, alphabetical order. As per the book, they are a storm with rage and wade into hand-to-hand combat. And then they have their paths: Berserker, Wild Heart, World Tree, and Zealot. They left out Totem. I know you only have 4, so I'm sure they had a reason to do it this way. But Totem, I always thought it was kind of bread and butter, but maybe I'm wrong. Tell me about it in the comments. We will go into the specifics of classes in different videos. We're not going to do that here. I saw one of the bigger YouTubers was taking a whole hour per class, going through it in absolute detail. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I might. It wouldn't be a bad idea. I like barbarians. I like barbarians as a culture group, a type of culture group, and as a class. I think they fit a fun niche of the mountain man, of the non-urban type of adventurer, and they do okay in the city too. They're so improved over the ancient days when barbarians were basically unplayable. It's really that rage mechanic, but also just the raw force. I don't want to say less thinking, because once again they have options, but from an in-character point of view, a more aggressive character. Fighters don't have to be aggressive, right? They're just good at it. Barbarians, whether they're good at it or not, like being aggressive. Key difference. I have a great relationship in my NPCs in my campaign. 2 very high level individuals. A warlock who is very powerful, and a barbarian, very powerful. Both around that 20 level mark. They're the regional badasses. And They get along pretty much for political reasons. They aggravate the hell out of each other. He wants to storm in, she wants to plan a little bit, but they can rely on each other. They don't think that the other one is going to try to take him out. They're not really part of an adventuring team per se. They're two retired, semi-retired adventurers that work together on a regular basis. Scott is falling. Um, I'm getting into way more detail here than I want to, I think. But so what I like to do with barbarians in my world building is have a barbarian zone or multiple zones, highlight several of the paths, and build that culture out of that, and then play with the way they interact with actual civilization. Now, yes, there are urban barbarians. That's fine. They don't have to be part of these clans, or they can be. They can live on the edge. Uh, and you can have that layered system. For me, it's the Macbeth clan. They interact with the Heston Authority. Uh, there's strong economic ties. There's strong cultural ties. Members of the Macbeth clan are, some of them live in cities, and they don't have to all be barbarians per class to be a barbarian, part of one of these barbarian clans. They have a strong component of sorcerers. They have monks. The only monk tradition in the Heston Authority are barbarians, and that's just weird, and I love it. Um, they can have all these things. Now, if you go deeper into the clan, because they're a non-social, non-urban people, you don't have all that structure. You can start getting into little tight groups that are very cultish, very weird. You can get into Path of the Beast type stuff, and um, interlapping with lycanthropes, willing lycanthropes. You can have you can work in odd religions and fringe stuff, and go deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole within these barbarian lands, and uh, really make them something rich that is outside the urban zones. Um, Now, if I spend this much time on every class, this isn't going to work. So we're going to jump forward. Well, we're not going to jump forward. We're going to go to the next one, bards. Uh, I love bards. I'm so happy they're part of D&D. Once again, another unplayable race from the 3.5 days. Not race, an unplayable class. It was so difficult to be a bard, and by the time you really got one going, half of the time the campaign was dead. Um, I don't know if one shots was a big deal back in the day. Maybe that if it was for you and your group, maybe that's how you played a bard. Um, is develop them as an established seventh, eighth level character, to where they'd gotten past all the stupid crap you had to do to become a bard. Maybe your DM let you cheat it. If I was going back, and that's probably what I would do, but I essentially didn't have bards. Um, since then, in my Pellicar days, the Pellicar game system, that's Dresden's Tale. If you want to check that out, it's a playset playlist. It's got lots of stuff in it. Um, Storytelling. But my homebrew, not my 5e homebrew, but my completely different game system homebrew, the Pellicar system, bards were culmination of skills, just like every class. There were no classes, are no classes. But bards were, of course, they were performers, but they also filled a niche in an adventuring group of being the promoter of that niche. If you ever thought about an adventuring team as a rock and roll band, where they're famous, going from town to town, doing the work, getting the praise, all the cool stuff, the bard was their promoter. They were the ones that they did. You go in, you do the fighting, you're active, but you're also the guy that researches new jobs. You're looking for high profile stuff. Once a job is done, you're the one promoting your group of, the fighter was the hero of the day, and the wizard did this amazing thing, and all the promotion to make your team more popular, more likely to get more good jobs, more likely to get high pay, and depending upon how you're running things, good patrons to actually, just or maybe cities, however you run your patrons, if you do it at all. Um, providing things to the players so that they're not necessarily getting paid for a job, but a city might give them land and a mansion, and maybe somebody supplies their cooking and cleaning staff, or all these amazing things that they get for doing amazing things. Like I said, cut down clerics. Evoke divine magic to heal, bolster, and smite. I haven't heard a lot about clerics in 2024. Clerics are really tough in 2014. Um, I played a 20th level cleric in a one shot, and up against high end paladins and fighters and all kinds of different amazing characters. He dominated. He was amazing. Uh, they have a good variety of spells. They can do a lot of stuff. They can get into melee depending upon how you build them. What you have to work with in 24 is life domain, light domain, trickery, and the war domain. It's a pretty good mix. If you're only taking 4, no matter what you do, you're leaving something out. I really, I don't know what you would have dropped, but I would love to have seen a storm cleric in there. I think that from a world building point of view, that a weather deity is incredibly important. Where it overlaps with fertility, with farming, with crops, with harvests. Uh, that I know what we're talking about, adventurers and warriors and fighters and blah blah blah, but just from a worldly standpoint, what's more important? If you can't grow food, you can't go to war. Oh, just my thought. Not complaining, though. I'm actually looking forward to getting a little deeper into the cleric. That might be one of the first things we do after this. I don't know. We'll see. Druids. Um, I've had a hard time in the last couple of years separating druids from being just a type of cleric. I realize it's always been a separate class, but they're nature priests, right? Well, no, they're not. Uh, they function significantly different, and that's good. I like the place of the druid, the idea that they're gaining power from nature itself, that they're not following a deity. They can follow a deity. Um, I often in world building look at druids as being a counterweight uh, to urbanizing forces. Druids are very likely to be the bad guys in some way when if you're pro urban. They will protect forests. They will. It's not just forests. They will protect nature. They might declare a forest a protected area and fight for it. Right. They may organize. They may organize the Fae. They may you know convince the treants to go to war. Uh, but there's a lot of room, especially if you're doing a nature, a wilderness campaign to work druids in. I didn't do it that much with the Heston Authority, even though you have a lot of uncivilized area. Um, I kind of went a different direction. But it's still relevant. We had a druid in the party for a while, and had, had a lot of fun. Even though his backstory and stuff, it wasn't completely noisy dog. It wasn't completely tied in to him being a druid. Uh, fighters. Fighters do what fighters do. They fight. Uh, Fighters is one of those classes that is so ubiquitous that it's really just how you run it. I can't even imagine a D&D world without a fighter. I can imagine one without almost every other class, except maybe cleric. Yeah, but uh, fighters are your almost a default class. That's why you can do anything with them as far as what kind of personality you want to have. And that's also why it's hard to talk about them from a world building point of view, unless you want to break things down into different schools of fighting, which you can get as complicated about that as you want to. I don't feel like this is the right place to go into that because we're already way over time. Monks. Monks are another class that are just gold for world building. If you're going to have monks, you're going to need to know things about how the monks in that region are organized. Uh, you can have monk organizations that are extremely powerful, political, if you want to, or completely passive. They can be places of learning too. They can be the place you go to find old maps. They can serve. They can overlap with the Wizards College, and they can overlap with the clerics' temples of knowledge, and the all that kind of, where do I go when I need to research ancient history. Um, they can also fill the role of aggressive law enforcement, or populating bandit tribes. The Yakuza kind of idea. You can go in a lot of different ways, and you can create opposing groups. And once again, just because you're monk based, it's just like being barbarian based or whatever. If that group uh, is a monk order, that doesn't mean they're not going to have some fighters, some clerics. Uh, it drives me crazy. I know you've heard it before, when an order of paladins, all they have are a bunch of paladins. Maybe they know a wizard somewhere that they can call in for help. You know, an order an order of anything is, in my opinion, is based on the idea that they have a certain mandate, and it's going to lend to a certain class, because of a unity of training of skills, uh, but there's going to be overlap where they pull people in that are similar. So it's not just monks. And by all means, create yourself a character that is a fighter that uses martial skills, but it's monk like. So they're imitating a monk, but they're still a fighter. Um, they're going to stand out. They might not be fully accepted by the monks. There might be all this tension. There might be, but he's going to stick with it, and he's going to fulfill the mandate of the organization, and he's going to be, that's a freaking backstory right there. A fighter that wants to be a monk, never in the entire campaign does he pick up a level in monk, but he becomes a fully celebrated member of the monk order. um okay, let's do this. Way over time. We're halfway there. I haven't even got to the spellcasters yet. We're in so much trouble. uh Paladins, we can move through them quick because we've already talked about them a little bit. um my view of paladins: you are a character with a cause. uh Probably the tightest, bound tightest to a cause of pretty much any of the classes, but it's up to how a DM wants to run it. I'm not even going to do it all the same. We have a glory, a vengeance, a devotion, to emulate the angels, and the ancients, to preserve life joy. It's pretty generic stuff. I'm not. I think that, especially, I think the 5e wants to be as open as possible, and I don't blame them. That's good. In my world building, I don't want to be as open as possible. I want to make people make choices. Um, and leave them enough flexibility to have some fun. Uh, there's nothing wrong with that, but could you be a paladin outside of a paladin order? Of course you could. We don't, the game doesn't stress training anymore, so you don't have to go to the paladin trainers to gain a level in paladin. You just kind of poof, you make that level, get your stuff, and it's so much easier than, I mean, it's how Matt Mercer does it. So hell, that's how everybody does it, right? If you do it on Critical Role, it's got to be right. But yeah, I don't know of any DMs that still demand that you take time out to train for levels. Maybe that was just a thing that nobody did back in 3.5 either. Maybe that was just us. Okay, burning time here. Yeah. Rangers. We're gonna deal with Rangers very soon. They were bad in 2014 rules. I don't have direct evidence, but everybody says they're not any better in 2024. I will do some studying. I will take a look. And at some point, by the end of the year, we're going to do a paladin jump ship. We're going to do a ranger. We're going to fix them. In my Heston Authority campaign, Rangers need to be stronger. And I don't feel like I can make a mistake by making them too strong. I have one Ranger in the group. The player is not a complainer. He's not pushing me into this. He hasn't asked for anything extra. To be honest, he's probably given himself some more penalties that he doesn't really need to take. But it's not necessarily about him, because I don't. No, I'm a world building DM. I run games because I like DMing, or because I like world building. So, and eventually the Heston Authority is going to be a packet that is put out for donations, or just flat out for sale, or maybe both. I don't know. We'll get to that. I got a ways to go. It's going to be at least a year before I get to that. Get it ready, get it polished up, get it out. We're going to work heavy on it through Christmas. I'm burning time again. Rangers are characters that like the wilderness. They are social people. They are born urban, as opposed to barbarians that are generally born out in the wilds. To that wilderness culture, Rangers are often born to an urban culture, and they want to escape it. So they end up out 15%. Awesome. So they end up out in the woods doing hunting and fishing and dropping pieces of paper all over the floor, and end up being that type of adventurer who likes to, I don't want this thing plug in. Booby trapped chargers. All right, I think we got it. Rogues. It took me quite a while to realize rogues used to be thieves, right? That was their name in the old 3.5. I don't know when it changed. Probably edition 4. That was one of the things we changed when we did the Pellicar rules set. Was thieves are dumb. Let's create a class and call it a rogue. And then later we got rid of classes, and basically the idea is the rogue is a skill monkey. They tend to be thieves, but that's just because groups need a thief sometimes. You can build a rogue to be any kind of skill monkey. And I think that's something. Well, let's look. Rogues. We have the Arcane Trickster. Uh, yep, stealth. The Assassin. That sounds kind of thief-like. There were assassins back then too. Soul Knife. To strike foes with psi blades. I don't know what that sounds like. That's basically a guy that uses light weapons. And the fourth kind of rogue is the thief. I think that you could do a lot. I think that the rogue skill monkey could easily have a subclass of craftsman. Could easily have a subclass of politician. Could have a subclass. Bards could do that too. But they could call themselves a bard and be a rogue. That'd be, see, next level thing. That's why you tuned in. Create a rogue and make him a bard. No bard levels. I don't know what you're doing about spells, but you can do bard stuff. I mean, you can sing and do tricks and talk real good. I know we're killing time again. Sorcerers. Now, it's a little bit for a new player to figure out what the hell the difference is between a sorcerer, a warlock, and a wizard. To some extent, it's just what stats you use. You don't have to play a smart wizard. You can play a sorcerer, a charismatic sorcerer. It's a little weird sometimes that they go by charisma, but you got to pick something. So why not? Go for it. The sorcerer has some event in their life that creates and we're back. The sorcerer has an innate spellcasting ability that the nature of that depends upon your subclass, but it's through them. And often it is triggered by some event, maybe a childhood tragedy or something older. Doesn't have to be childhood. I've had a recent big event in my campaign where the whole world was basically engulfed by this nebula, blocked out the sun, did all kinds of weird crap, blew up magical items, created mutations. It almost reset the age, reset the world, where a lot of, especially the most advanced civilizations of the world, were kind of fried because it had a devastating effect on magic. However, it triggered a lot of powers within people, so making them sorcerers. So you can talk to your DM, and your DM talk to your players. How you want your sorcerers to be. You can make it a big part of the world building if you want to. I think the way sorcerers were probably intended were to be pretty rare. That maybe they get mistaken for wizards. Maybe they get ostracized by wizards. Maybe they get hunted by wizards. But I think they were intended to be pretty rare. You don't have to do that. I'm going to have lots of sorcerers in the world. I've got one in the party, and there's going to certainly be more up and coming sorcerers. But that's because of an event in my world, and that's the kind of thing that you can work with a backstory for a sorcerer. It's probably one of the most important classes to actually have a backstory to understand how the character developed the powers. But it can be simple stuff too. I mean, it can be you got a bump on the head and suddenly you can cast magic missiles. Oh, or yeah, magic missiles. Sorry, I was going to say Eldritch Blast, but that's a warlock thing. What's next? Oh, warlocks. Warlocks, you have a a patron, a supernatural patron, not some rich guy giving you jobs, but one of those patrons that are some people think just exist in your head. You have a special affinity with demons or the dark fae, or it doesn't have to be dark fae. There's good fae too. Most fae are good. Sorry, everything in my world just naturally tends to go dark, but some kind of fae, uh, your magic works very different. For those of you based back in 3.5, it's going to be a little getting used to. Um, I would strongly recommend playing one. I haven't. I don't know how the hell they work, but we're learning. This is the learning experience. That's one reason it really works out for me that 2024 came in when it did. Just as I'm kind of really amping up into the game again. Learned a lot of the 2014 system, but not all of it. Not by any means. Just proof that you can run a campaign without knowing all the rules. But and make videos too. Um, did we lose everybody? Is everybody signed off and canceled their subscription? All right. You people that are left, you're the ones I was talking to anyway. Yeah, warlocks are. See, this is why I need a script. I'm sure there are a million analogies out of movies and stuff. That you're basically have a dark force. Well, like medieval witches. You're channeling the devil's power. There you go. You're a witch. And finally, wizards. They are very, very stereotypical spellcasters. They have the pointy hats. To play one, you need to actually buy a pointy hat and wear it to the game. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. You're book smart, high intelligence. You don't have to be friendly. You can be, I suppose. You learn spells through more studying, more books. They are the class in the game that has magic that they can do anything with. And you grow. It feels like, and I guess this is true for everybody, but I'm playing a wizard right now, and holy cow, the acceleration curve of getting stronger and stronger and stronger with every level. Unless somebody gets close enough to you to hit you with something metallic or even like a tough, wooden club. Rubber daggers are dangerous. Look out for falling objects. Don't get hit, and you're okay. Wizards just don't get hit. Keep a barbarian in front of you at all times, because in new D&D, barbarians are a wizard's best friend. Whew. We hit the end of the list. Video will go up in the morning. No reason to wait till Friday. Maybe I'll schedule for Friday. I guess we'll see. You'll get to see. I don't know how long we're going to stick to the schedule we've been doing. With major videos coming out on Friday. I really kind of ignored it this last Friday and had a very short video come out. We still need to do some more swamp stuff, and we need to get back into our shorts. We're doing a whole holiday thing. That if I do it the way I wanted to, is definitely going to stretch past September. I think we're already a third of the way through September. The weather's finally a little cooler. That makes us happy, but it's supposed to be hot again by the end of the week. That makes us unhappy. Obviously, we're getting close to the end of the video. Do the stuff. Hit the like button. Subscribe. The thing that helps the most, I would appreciate it if you could leave a comment. Let me know you got this far. Tell me your favorite number. That's all you have to post. Just my favorite number is eh. In fact, you can put eh. Doesn't matter. It helps the algorithm, and that's what we care about. I'm going to figure out the magical formula someday. I definitely haven't yet. That's it. Cheers.